Her suit was designed for combat, but it barely covered the parts of her that made me forget what mission I was even on. The chrome-lined chamber buzzed with a low, electric hum, vibrating through my boots and up my spine, syncing with my pulse like a metronome counting down to something inevitable. I'd been sent here for psychoagnostics after my last op went to hell, bad intel, a firefight that left 2 of my squad in medbay, and a near miss that still haunted my dreams. Mental recalibration, the brass called it, like I was a malfunctioning drone. I expected a sterile room, a cold shrink with a tablet, maybe a neural scan to map the cracks in my head. Not her. The door hissed open, and Lexa stepped in. Her presence hit like a shockwave, stealing the air from the room. That suit, black, sleek, like liquid obsidian poured over her, clung to her curves, leaving just enough to the imagination to make my throat tighten. Her eyes, sharp as a blade and twice as dangerous, locked onto mine, reading me like an open file. A smile curled her lips, soft but laced with a quiet menace, like she'd already unraveled every thought I'd ever had and was just waiting for me to catch up. "Captain," she said, her voice a velvet blade, low and smooth, slicing through the hum of the room. "They think you're cracking. Are you?" I shifted, her gaze pinning me like a specimen under glass. "I'm fine," I said, but my voice came out rough, betraying the knot in my chest. Her laugh was soft, teasing, like she'd caught me in a lie and was savoring it. "We'll see." She gestured to a chair in the center of the room, its polished surface gleaming under the dim, flickering lights. "Sit. We're running a stress simulation. I need to know how much you can handle." I crossed the room and sat, the chair cold against my back, grounding me for a fleeting moment. She circled me, her boots clicking softly on the floor, each step deliberate, measured, like a predator sizing up its prey. "This isn't your usual test," she said, leaning in close. Her breath brushed my ear, carrying a faint scent, jasmine, and something metallic, like the edge of a storm. "I'm going to push you, Captain. And you're going to let me." My pulse kicked up, and I gripped the arms of the chair, the metal biting into my palms. "What kind of test is this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She straightened, her smile sharpening, a glint of amusement in her eyes. "The kind that strips you bare. No filters. No lies." She tapped a panel on her wrist, and the room shimmered, the chrome walls dissolving like mist. Suddenly, we were standing in a desert, red sand stretching endlessly under a violet sky, the air thick with heat that pressed against my skin. Her eyes were hotter, though, holding me in place, unyielding. "The simulation adapts to your mind," she said, stepping closer, her voice curling around me like smoke. "It knows what you want, what you fear, what you crave dash dot." My mouth went dry, the weight of her words sinking into me. "And you? What's your role in this?" "I run it." Her fingers brushed my jaw, light but deliberate, sending a jolt down my spine that felt too real for a sim. "But I'm also part of it. Tell me, Captain, what's distracting you right now?" I tried to focus, to pull up the mission brief, the objectives, anything to anchor me. But her touch was a live wire, scrambling my thoughts, making my blood hum. She leaned closer, her lips hovering near my ear, her breath warm and teasing. "You're supposed to resist," she murmured, her voice a low hum that vibrated through me, unraveling my defenses. "But you don't want to, do you?" The desert shifted, the sand melting away. We were in a dimly lit room now, velvet curtains framing a massive window that opened onto a starfield, endless and cold, the stars glinting like her eyes. She was closer, her hand resting on my chest, fingers splayed over my heart, feeling the frantic rhythm beneath. "Your pulse is racing," she said, her tone a mix of amusement and command, like she was conducting an experiment and I was the subject. "This is the stress test. Can you stay sharp? Or are you already lost?" I grabbed her wrist, not hard. Just enough to feel her pulse under my fingers. Steady. In control. Always in control. She didn't pull away. Instead, she tilted her head, studying me like I was a puzzle she'd already solved but enjoyed toying with. "Good," she said, her voice softening, teasing, a thread of warmth weaving through it. "Fight back a little. It makes this more interesting." The scene changed again, a sleek spaceship cabin, the hum of engines pulsing through the walls, vibrating in my bones. She pushed me back onto a low couch, her movements graceful, deliberate, like a dancer who knew every step by heart. The cushions sank under my weight, and she straddled my lap, her body a perfect pressure against mine, her thighs firm and warm. "The simulation's pulling this from your head," she said, her fingers trailing down my chest, slow and deliberate. each touch igniting sparks under my skin. This is what you want, isn't it? Me. Like this. I couldn't lie. Not to her. Not when her eyes seemed to see straight through me, peeling back every defense I'd ever built, exposing the raw, messy truth underneath. You're cheating, I said, my voice rough, barely holding together, like I was clinging to the edge of a cliff. She laughed, soft and wicked, her breath warm against my neck, sending a shiver through me. I'm not cheating. I'm winning. Dashed. Her fingers traced the line of my jaw, down my throat, each touch deliberate, calculated, like she was mapping me out, claiming every inch. You're supposed to stay focused. Mission parameters. Objectives. But all you can think about is me. The air grew heavy, charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Her lips hovered close, not quite touching mine, her breath a tease that made my head spin, my thoughts fracturing. Tell me to stop, she whispered, her voice a command wrapped in silk, soft but unyielding. Or I'll keep going. I didn't tell her to stop. The simulation blurred, flashes of her hands, her voice, her body moving against mine. The cabin faded, replaced by a rooftop under a crimson sky, the air thick with the scent of ozone and something sweeter, like her. She leaned in closer, her fingers threading through my hair, tugging just enough to make me gasp, a sharp edge of pleasure that cut through the haze. You're doing so well, she murmured, her lips brushing my ear, her voice a low, intoxicating hum. But you're not in control. Not here. Not with me. The scene shifted again, a dark forest, moonlight filtering through the trees, catching her skin like silver, making her look almost unreal, a vision carved from my deepest desires. She pressed closer, her hands sliding under my jacket, her touch cool but burning, like ice that sears. I tried to ground myself, to find the edges of the simulation, to remember this was just a test. But every touch, every word, pulled me under, drowning me in her. What's real? I managed, my voice thick, desperate, clinging to the last threads of clarity. Is this you, or just the sim? She pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, her gaze piercing, amused, like she was savoring my confusion. Does it matter? Her hand slid down my arm, her nails grazing my skin, leaving trails of heat that lingered too long. You want this? That's real enough. The forest dissolved, and we were in a vast, mirrored hall, our reflections stretching into infinity, 1,000 versions of her surrounding me, each one watching, each one knowing. She was everywhere, her touch, her voice, her presence overwhelming, filling every corner of my mind. She leaned in, her lips brushing mine, not a kiss but a promise, a challenge, a spark that set my nerves alight. Give in, she whispered, her voice a siren's call, pulling me deeper. Let go. I did. The mirrors shattered, the simulation spiraling into a kaleidoscope of sensation. Her hands, her breath, the weight of her against me, the world shifting around us. A golden beach under a twin-sun sky, waves crashing with a rhythm that matched my pulse. A candlelit chamber, shadows dancing on stone walls, her fingers tracing patterns on my skin that felt like code, rewriting me. Time lost meaning. The mission, the test, the world outside, it all faded. There was only her voice guiding me, her touch unraveling me, her presence consuming me. But beneath the haze, a flicker of doubt gnawed at me. The transitions were too seamless, her touch too real. Was this still the sim? Or had she slipped past the boundaries, into my head, into my reality? I tried to focus, to find the seams, but her lips brushed my collarbone, soft but deliberate, and my thoughts scattered like ash. You're thinking too much, she murmured, her voice a low, teasing purr. Stop fighting it. Let me have you. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But a part of me clung to the edge, desperate to know where the line was. I grabbed her shoulders, my grip firm, searching her eyes for answers. Who are you? I asked, my voice raw, almost pleading. Are you even real? Her smile was enigmatic, a secret only she knew. I'm as real as you need me to be, she said, her fingers brushing my cheek, her touch gentle but possessive. The question is, Captain, what's real to you? Dash? Before I could answer, the scene shifted again, a sleek, circular room, walls pulsing with soft blue light, like the heartbeat of a machine. She stood before me, her suit catching the glow, making her look like something divine and dangerous. She stepped closer, her hand resting on my chest again, her touch anchoring me even as it unraveled me. "You're almost there," she said, her voice soft but commanding. "One last test. Can you walk away?" I didn't know if I could. Her presence was a gravity well, pulling me in, making everything else feel distant, unimportant. I leaned toward her, drawn by the heat of her, the promise in her eyes. Her lips hovered close again, and for a moment, I thought she'd close the distance, give me what I was too weak to ask for. But she pulled back, her smile sharp, knowing. "Not yet," she said. "You haven't earned it." The air shimmered, and a sharp hum cut through the haze, jarring, like a needle scratching across a record. The scene flickered, and we were back in the chrome chamber. She stood a few feet away, her suit pristine, her expression unreadable, like nothing had happened. "Simulation complete," she said, her voice cool now, professional, though a faint smile played at her lips, a ghost of the fire I'd felt. "You performed adequately." I blinked, my heart still pounding, my skin buzzing with the memory of her touch. My head felt heavy, like I'd been underwater too long. "That was it?" I asked, my voice hoarse, unsteady, like I was waking from a dream I wasn't ready to leave. She tilted her head, that knowing smile flickering again, her eyes glinting with something that made my chest tighten. "Was it?" She stepped closer, her fingers brushing my arm, just enough to make my breath catch, to make me question everything. "You're free to go, Captain. Unless you want to run it again." I stood, my legs unsteady, my mind a tangle of heat and doubt. I headed for the door, each step heavier than the last. It hissed open, revealing the cold, sterile corridors of the base, their fluorescent lights harsh after the soft glow of the sim. I glanced back. She was still watching me, leaning against the wall, her posture relaxed but her eyes intense, like she was waiting for me to turn back, to beg for another round. I forced myself to step through, the door sliding shut behind me with a final, metallic hiss. The corridor stretched ahead, its lights too soft, the air too warm, carrying a faint trace of her scent, jasmine and steel, clinging to me like a second skin. My steps echoed, but they felt wrong, off rhythm, like the world was slightly out of sync. I passed a reflective panel and caught my reflection, my eyes too wide, my face flushed, my breath uneven. I looked like a man who'd been taken apart and put back together, not quite the same. I kept walking, but the walls seemed to shimmer, just for a second, like the sim hadn't fully let go. My hand brushed the wall, expecting cold metal, but it felt warm, pliable, like it could shift under my touch. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog, but her voice lingered, a soft echo in my mind. "Dash, you're free to go. Unless." I reached my quarters, the door sliding open with a hiss that felt too familiar. Too much like the chamber. I stepped inside, the air heavy, charged, like it had been in the sim. I sank onto my bunk, my head spinning, her presence still clinging to me, her touch, her gaze, the way she'd unraveled me with a look, a word, a brush of her fingers. I stared at the ceiling, its smooth surface reflecting the dim light, and a single thought gnawed at me, sharp and unrelenting. Had I really left the simulation? Or was I still hers, caught in a loop I couldn't see, her voice whispering in the dark, pulling me back to her? I closed my eyes, and for a moment, I swore I felt her breath on my neck, her fingers grazing my skin. The room hummed, soft and steady, and I wondered if I'd ever find the line between her world and mine.